Welcome, everybody, into Four Down Territory. I am Kyle Madson, the managing editor of NinersWire.com, part of the USA Today Sports Media Group. As always, with me, Doug Farrar, the managing editor of Touchdown Wire of the USA Today Sports Media Group. And Doug, happy belated Thanksgiving and a happy holiday season to you.
Yes. What's up? Week 12 is almost over. We're doing this right before the Bears-Vikings game. And it was a weird week of football.
Really?
A lot of stuff.
Really odd. What'd you make of the Black Friday game? Are you in or out on that?
My favorite part of that was the Javon Holland's 99-yard pick six. Incredible. On the Tim Boyle Hail Mary at the end of the first half. And the Jets' effort on that return reminded, those games where they have mascots against little kids and the mascots are just shredding the kids?
Yes.
That's what the Dolphins looked like, the mascots, and the Jets. Not a lot of effort there. It was bad.
The team that knew they were done.
Our indefatigable producer, Chris Corder, hopefully can put up like a mascot just demolishing a little kid right here.
Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping for it. All right, let's.
So, I like Black Friday. I think as we get further into the season, take all the really good games and just put them on different days and just stack it.
There you go. Yeah, no game scheduled at this point of the year, starting in week 12. And we'll just kind of pick a day to throw it on during the holiday season.
Yeah, just do it.
I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. I was in on the Black Friday game. I kind of liked having something to do on a day where you're not really doing a ton, at least in my house. So
I may or may not have fallen asleep at one point, but I'm not going to confirm or deny.
I'm going to call that matchup related. Let's get to first down.
Yes.
It's a big discussion point on the internet, so I'm interested to get your take here, Doug. Who is your MVP at this point of the 2023 season?
I want to see how the Cowboys keep this up, but it might be Dak Prescott right now, and that sounds a little nuts if you looked at his performance before their Week 7 bye, but it's what he's done since that I'm talking about, and it's something that we need to talk about more. Before the bye, Prescott had completed 132 of 190 passes for 1,333 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a passer rating of 91.0. Since the bye, Dak Prescott has completed 127 of 180 passes for 1,602 yards, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of 24.8. His completion rate has risen from 69.5% to 70.6%, and that's especially impressive because he's been throwing and completing so many deep balls of late. Before the bye, he had attempted 19 passes of 20 or more air yards, completing 8 for 194, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a pass rating of 92.9. Since the bye, Prescott has completed 20 of his 33 deep throws for 565 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 144.3 on deep balls. Dang. When you're just about perfect on the game's toughest throws, you are indeed playing with house money. And he's doing all this in an offense run by Mike McCarthy and Brian Schottenheimer, with one top receiver in CeeDee Lamb. He doesn't have the playbook and the weapons other great quarterbacks have, although Cowboys have gotten more expansive in their concepts of late. But he's playing as well as any quarterback in the league right now. If it continues against some tougher competition, they have the Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, and Lions before their get-well regular season finale against the Commanders, who they just demolished and got Jack Del Rio fired. If they go deep into the playoffs, Dak's going to be a discussion. And he might be comeback player of the year after his 236 interception season last year. So Dak right now, he's, it's kind of under the radar, but he's playing as well as anybody.
Yeah, I had not, and this is, I think, speaks to why I think it's tough for Dak to get in that conversation. Because until I heard you talk about this, I wasn't even considering Dak in that discussion.
Right.
And I think it's because they had the primetime blowout loss to the 49ers early in the season, week 5. The couple weeks before that, they got housed by the Cardinals. Just kind of got beat up by the Cardinals. And then you have last season where he threw all the picks, and then you have his consistent, shortcomings in the playoffs. And there's just kind of this negative aura around Dak. And that's tough to overcome in such a narrative-driven award. But if the Cowboys win out, including a win over the Eagles in a couple of weeks, and wind up somehow winning that division and being the 1 or 2 seed, it's going to be because Dak is playing like this. And at that point, I think you'll definitely see more nationwide chatter for Dak as the MVP. So
and it's been like the Panthers and the Giants and the Commanders, and I get it. But if you isolate the plays and isolate what he's doing in those concepts, and I'm writing an article about it today, He's right up there.
I'm going to go with a non-quarterback because I feel like this
Highly
is
probable that will happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
just Jalen Hurts has been awesome, and the Eagles are 10-1, and in large part because of his just kind of inevitability at the end of games. And I like I said, narratives and stuff that matters. But if a non-quarterback is going to win it for the first time since 2012, this feels like a good year for it. And why not Tyreek Hill? I think he gets my vote right now. So he's leading the NFL with 88 catches, over 1,300 receiving yards, and 10 receiving touchdowns in 11 games.
Yeah.
It's a great season, and there are 6 more games to go. So PFF, Pro Football Focus, also has him as their highest graded receiver by a pretty wide margin. And there's just not a lot he's not capable of doing on the football field right now. There's not any real way to stop him. And when you look at all the reasons that Dolphins offense is good, a lot of it centers around, well, defenses have to try and adjust to Tyreek Hill. And even then, it doesn't work. So if he winds up going for 2,000 plus receiving yards, which he's on track to do, and he gets in the 15 to 20 touchdown range, I think at the end of the year, assuming Miami is still kind of in that mix as a top 3 AFC seed, I might throw my vote to Tyreek Hill, assuming the Eagles don't go 16-1 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, with Hurts, I mean, and he could turn it on in the last 6 games, and I saw a different set of things on Sunday with just how the run game and the pass game were integrated with the QB run game, which I hadn't. They had seemed kind of segmented before. I don't think Hurts had played his best football, but you started to see like, okay, they're rolling. So if he plays like that the rest of the season, I think he's in there. From the 30,000 foot level, and it's a bit of a simplistic trope, but there are other factors to consider. But if you're talking about value, you look at what the Chiefs offense has been since they made that trade and what the Dolphins offense has been since they made that trade. Tyreek Hill is kind of valuable. He's kind of important.
Pretty good player.
He's pretty good. Yeah, he's not bad. He might have a future in this business.
Al Davis was right the whole time, it turns out.
Yeah.
At some point, just getting fast dudes was the move. He was just a little bit ahead of his time.
Well, getting fast dudes who can run routes and catch the ball.
Right. That's a good
kind of later in Al's life. He kind of missed the boat on that one, but he had Cliff Branch, and that was good.
Yeah, put some legendary teams together for sure. Let's move to second down. Which team that's currently out of the playoff race is the NFL's most dangerous?
Kyle, I'm going with the Texans of Houston. They are now 6-5 in the AFC's 8th seed after their 24-21 loss to the Jaguars on Sunday. But keep in mind, the Jags might be the AFC's best team right now. They're right up there. And these Texans spanked the Jags 37-17 in week 3. And that was the game where a lot of us started thinking that CJ Stroud was like, he's made us something different here. Yep. This is not your ordinary rookie. They're still putting things together on defense, and I hated D'Amico Ryan's decision to give kicker Matt Amendola a 58-yard game-tying attempt against Jacksonville when Amendola hadn't hit a 50-yarder since he was at Oklahoma State in 2017.
Brutal. And
then they waived him on Monday, which is just brutal. But Ryan's is still deservedly in the Coach of the Year conversation. It's clear that everyone has bought into the program, and anytime you have Stroud firing guided missiles to Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, and Robert Woods, you have a team that can beat just about anyone if the circumstances are correct. I'm not saying this is a Super Bowl team yet. I'm kind of putting it off until next year, but they're certainly headed in the right direction, and they've absolutely become one of those teams you do not want to play under any circumstances. The remaining schedule is pretty favorable as well. They have the Broncos, Jets, Titans, Browns, Titans, and Colts to finish the season. Playoff Stroud could be a reality in his rookie campaign, and I'm all the way here for that. And who would have thought this possible for a team that finished the 2022 season with a 3-13-1 record?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's going to be like podcasts and documentaries about how the Texans flip this around so quickly. And teams are going to look at them, and it turns out hiring a good coach and getting a good quarterback can cover up a lot of flaws on a roster.
Well, the funny part will be in the 2024 draft when everyone's looking for the next CJ Stroud, because you know how that works.
Yeah.
We thought we have the next CJ Stroud. Like, the guy is literally generational. He's the best rookie quarterback since Andrew Luck. Stop it.
He's just a baller. Like, he's really good at football. Hey, and maybe sometimes when analyzing the draft and stuff, picking the guy who's good at accuracy and moving around is like the guy to pick.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit later in the show about the guy that was taken before him.
Very good. So I'm going to still rock with the Buffalo Bills, although I love the Houston Texans. But in a one-game playoff scenario is just so tricky, and I'm not sure there's a team I'd rather bet on than Buffalo. out of the teams not in the playoffs right now. So that's Houston, of course, Denver, and then I guess like Cincinnati are in that mix. But
Denver's right up there. Yeah, I almost picked Denver for this.
Denver,
here they come.
Just very quietly won 5 in a row. So I'm not totally sold on Sean McDermott as a head coach and a defensive game planner, especially with the way that game against the Eagles ended in week 12.
0 blitz against QB draw. Okay.
They just a lot of times they just looked unprepared for what Philly was doing offensively. And then I'm definitely not sold that Josh Allen is capable of playing like mistake-free football to help overcome, some defensive lapses. So there's enough talent there though that make Allen and the Bills as dangerous as any team in a first round playoff matchup. They're just so capable of being the best team in the NFL on any given night. And that's not something, if you're the Jags or the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Dolphins, that you don't want that smoke in the first round for sure. No. So, and had Jake Elliott missed a 59-yard field goal in the rain and wind at the end of that game to send it to overtime, I think the conversation about the Bills is very different. So, yes, they're capable of laying an egg, but they're also capable of being the best team in the league, and that's the team I would bet on if they sneak into the playoffs as a 6 or 7 seed. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Buffalo made a run.
Maybe Jake Elliott's the MVP. That was the best kick I've seen since Adam Vinatieri's kick in the Tuck Rule game.
It was unbelievable. Like, never a doubt that it was going in.
I don't forget. I remember who it was. Somebody said on Twitter he basically kicked a damp, thawed turkey 58 yards or 59 yards, and that's about what it was.
Yeah, man, I was just super like, dude. Jake Elliott MVP votes. I'm actually here for it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it next week.
The Bills, the only team that can consistently beat the Bills are the Bills.
Yes,
and I've seen a lot of that lately. And Josh Allen is playing as well as he can. And the problem is, you take away the 3 plays and you look at the 60, they're just amazing. Like no one else can do this stuff.
Right.
They have given Josh Allen absolutely no margin for error. That offense is not talented for the most part.
Exactly.
The defense is falling all over itself. So Josh Allen has no margin. If he makes one mistake, and the trap coverage thing to the interception to Bradbury, and then when he threw should have been a touchdown, Gabe Davis and Allen were on the different pages on the option route, and it's like 2 mistakes he made in the game, and that decided it. And then because on defense, they were making mistakes all over the place.
Yep.
So if they can shore it up for one game, I guess, but I'm just, I look at the other, the Broncos aren't making mistakes like that. The Texans the Colts aren't making mistakes. The Colts are like, got to watch them too. And the teams above them, I think the Chiefs, they can get rickrolled at times, but I think the Bills have such a wide variance right now. I get what you're saying, but I wouldn't want to put any shuttle on them.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that in a first round playoff matchup, like I'm 100% like, yeah, sure, I'll bet on the Bills. But if I'm needing them to win 4 games in a row and play perfect 4 games in a row, I'm out. I'm punting on that.
That's too much of a high wire. But if they have to go to Jacksonville as a 6 seed and deal with that, I wouldn't want to do that.
All right, let's jump over to third down. If there's one player who could be traded from his current team, let's waive the trade deadline. The NFL has an active mercy clause now, and they say,
this is a mercy rule. Get this guy out of here, please.
The NFL says, hey, we're as an act of mercy, we're going to let a team trade away a player to get him to a good team. Who are you moving?
Jesse Bates, safety. Jesse Bates, third. The Falcons deserve so much better than this. What team wouldn't like a top-tier center field safety right now? Bates' 92-yard pick six against the Saints on Sunday and a 24-15 win was one of the most impressive defensive plays you'll see all season.
Yeah.
New Orleans had 3rd and 3 from the Atlanta 12-yard line. The Falcons were in cover 1. So Bates is all there, he's up there by himself. Derek Carr tried to throw a Texas, an angle route. You know that because the Niners ran it all the time with Bill Walsh.
Yep.
Route to receiver Rashid Shaheed. Bates was in center field and just on the other side of the end zone line, crashed down right at the snap. He had this read from jump. And Derek Carr said after the game, Bates got me a few years ago when I was with the Raiders on the same play. Like, well,
that perfectly defines Derek Carr.
I was going to say that says a lot about Bates. It says a lot about Carr. So he crashes down with perfect timing to take the ball away. Then he returned a 92-yard for touchdown was nice. But Bates has been making those types of plays all season long. He picked off Bryce Young twice on the same route in week 1. He's just a really smart, and I'm not feeling sorry for him. The former Bengals star signed a 4-year, $64.02 million contract, $36 million guaranteed. He's one of the 5 highest paid safeties in the NFL, justifiably so. But when your head coach and offensive shot caller is Arthur Smith, who defiantly doesn't want to call a normal offense and then gets all, this isn't fantasy football, get off my lawn. The talent around you on defense is iffy. Bates is 26 now. He might be pushing 30 before this team is truly among the elite. I'd love him to be like with give him to Steve Spagnuolo. Oh gosh, give him to Sean Desai in Philadelphia. Put him with Kevin Byard, see what that looks like.
I think he'd be. We just talked about the Bills. I think he's a player that cures a lot of what ails the Bills defensively.
Yeah, if they put him where he should be. If they don't move him to another place when Jalen Hurts is doing a quarterback draw.
Hey, really like you at will. No. Look. Okay, so. I know he's almost 33, but dude, Khalil Mack still got it.
Oh my gosh.
I need to get him out of LA. So
remember before the season, we all thought he was washed? I guess not.
I did. There was all this talk that he was going to get cut, and Niner fans are freaking out like, oh, should they go get, it's like, no, man, you're going to have to pay. I'm out on that idea. But dude, he is playing so much better than the Chargers or Brandon Staley deserve. So he did everything he could.
He beat Ronnie Stanley up.
Yes.
In that wow.
Did everything he could Sunday night against the Ravens. 6 tackles, a tackle for loss, 2 sacks, a pass breakup. Chargers still lost the game by 10. And Mac this season, 47 pressures. This is from PFF. 47 pressures, 12 sacks. The pressures are 13th in the league. The sacks are tied for number 3 in the NFL. They're also his most since posting 13 in 2018. So his most sacks in half a decade. Mac has 4 games this year. Yeah, Mac has 4 games this year with fewer than 5 pressures, and he deserves to be putting this late career surge on a team that's not just foundering in the basement of the AFC West. So get Khalil Mack to anywhere. I don't get him to a playoff team and let him cook for a playoff team.
Well, PFF counts, and I appreciate this. PFF counts half sacks as entire sacks because it should be. Right. They have him at 14 sacks, which is his most since 2015. Okay. And he has 9 pressures against the Raiders in week 4 and 9 pressures against the Jets in week 9.
Oh, you know why? Because I wrote this before the PFF stats from last night went in.
Oh, I see. That's they come up like Monday afternoon.
That'll do it. All right.
But yeah, his season since his second season in 2015.
Driving my point home, Khalil Mack is awesome.
He's almost 33. That's a rare age for edge rushers to still have it.
Yeah, man. What a player. All right. I can't wait. I'm so excited for this. You and I talked about this.
I knew we were going to have the same thing for worst of the week.
Yeah,
and we're both right. It was the worst.
And the Panthers blessed me with something a little bit different, so I could write about something else. But go ahead, Doug. What was the worst of the week for week 12?
Shotgun runs on 4th and 1.
I hate them.
We need to outlaw these for the good of the NFL. On Thanksgiving Day, 2 teams tried these, and as usual, it didn't work. With 4:19 left in the Seattle Seahawks 31-13 loss to the 49ers, it seemed like it was a 50-0 game. How was it 31-13? Seattle made a decision to hand the ball to running back Zach Charbonnet on 4th and 1 out of shotgun. And the play went nowhere, probably because he didn't block Nick Bosa. That was interesting. Pete Carroll said the day after the game they were trying to put the Niners, they're trying to get them to widen their front because they had to respect the pass. Okay, love you, Pete, but no. As for the Commanders in their 45-10 loss to the Cowboys, they tried a shotgun run on 4th and 1 with 8:19 left in the third quarter, and that thing was dead in the water before we even got in the water. So I have empirical, statistical evidence, Kyle. Yeah. Per Sports Info Solutions, through week 11, NFL teams have run the ball on 4th and 1 out of shotgun 27 times for 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 16 conversions to first down. 4th and 1 runs from under center have been far more successful. 89 attempts for 233 yards, 1 touchdown, and 68 conversions to first down. So when you run 4th and 1 out of shotgun, you convert it to first down 16 of 27 times. If you run it under center, it's 68 conversions in 89 attempts. Even when you take out the tush-push numbers engendered by Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, 7 4th-and-1 attempts from under center for 16 yards, and all 7 conversions to first down, the metrics tell a very clear tale. Stop being cute and let the Eagles show you the way. Stop. And then, of course, Arthur Smith runs like I don't know what it was. He had 2 guys in the backfield, and he had Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter just had a keeper on 4th and 2 on a pistol, and the whole thing just went. And so Arthur Smith does not read touchdown wire. I'm kind of hurt.
They drafted Bijan Robinson.
I know.
With a top 8 pick.
I don't care about your fantasy football team. Get off my lawn.
The worst of the week for me is the shotgun runs on 4th and 1. It's the worst. It's unbelievable that teams are still doing this in 2023. You know, we're 39 years shy of the Jetsons. The Jetsons took place in 2062, and we've still got teams lining up in the shotgun to get a yard. Yeah. Just logically, why are you backing away from the line of scrimmage? You watch the Eagles every week, get as compact as possible and as close to the line as possible, and then you take that mass of bodies and you push everything forward for your 1 yard.
Kelsey under, one of the guards over, Hurts in the middle. Boom.
It bang, bang every time, right? And then you get teams that are still like, what if we spread it out? Like, no, stop. You don't need to do it that way. Anyways, brutal. So for the sake of talking about something else, Panthers owner David Tepper is my worst of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank Reich is out as the Panthers head coach after 11 games. He went 1-10. Yeah. So they botched the Bryce Young pick right away by just bringing in an undersized quarterback and then putting him behind a bad offensive line with no dynamic offensive weapons at the skill positions. They've now canned Bryce Young's first head coach, which will force him to start over in a new offense next year while the team has no substantial assets to make the team better around him this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Tepper clearly wants to win, and I admire that quality in an owner because there's not a lot of things worse than an apathetic owner. Trust me, I'm an Oakland A's fan. Having an owner that wants to win is...
Well, I used to be a Seattle Mariners fan, so I get you there.
Right on. You feel me. But the worst quality an owner can have is that owner thinking that he has all the best ideas to get to the point of the team winning. Yeah. And it seems like that's where Tepper's at. He needs to hire a well-respected football person to run the show and then get out of the way. Like just remove himself from the equation and let his people delegate that football responsibility to the professionals, to the experts. Until he does that, the Panthers are likely to continue whatever disastrous path they're on. And there's no real reason to believe they're going to trend the right way. So David Tepper is my worst of the week, and he will continue to be there until he figures out how to be an NFL owner in a way that's going to help his team be successful.
Yeah, since 2019, Tepper has now mid-season fired Ron Rivera, Matt Rule, and Frank Reich. And I should look this up. Like, has any head coach ever had 2 worse team owners to start than Jim Irsay and David Tepper?
Oh, man.
Reich needs to take like a year off. It will be subsidized by the NFL because he's got 2 buyouts now from the Colts and the Panthers. Hello, he's got like $60 million. The Bryce Young thing, I want to circle back on that for a minute because I don't get it. The offense he had at Alabama that worked for him was a lot of quick RPO stuff, and then some 7-step or, like shotgun 3-step, which is essentially 7-step drop of like run around and figure it out. Now, to have that work, you need a really good offensive line and at least 2 dynamic weapons. You know how I know that, Kyle? Because that's exactly what Jalen Hurts does. Huh. He has a great offensive line and a lot of dynamic weapons. That's exactly that. That's Bryce Young would be best off in that kind of offense. But even then, he doesn't present the running threat that Jalen Hurts does because Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds is the new, did you know that Antonio Gates played basketball? Or Jerome Bettis is from Detroit.
100%. Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard.
Yeah, exactly. So what were we doing here? And these reports that Tepper wanted Young and Reich wanted Stroud, at that point, and they had just hired him, and you don't let him shop for the groceries? Bad. I'm not, I don't know, because it's like saying that you know what Kenny Pickett is with Matt Canada. You don't know. I don't know. I know that they have no impact players. They have a couple good guys on defense. Their offensive line is abysmal, and Ike Ekwonu, I'm not ready to use the bust word yet, But when your rookie season is bad and your second season is worse, you're
Right.
kind of you're on the map.
Yeah.
We can see you at the edge of our phone. Yeah, and who's going to want this? I mean, somebody was saying, well, Ben Johnson's from there. I'm like, dude, Ben Johnson is not going to drive that leaky Yugo with 3 flat tires when you can pick and drive off the lot whatever he wants.
That's
the Lions
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they fix this. I don't know what to do. Tepper's got to get out of his, and this is a multi-year rebuild, and it may ruin Young before he even has a chance to be good. The thing about Stroud, yes, he elevates everything around him, but they had Laramie Tunsil. They had a good offensive line. They picked up some guys. We've talked about this, how well they built that team.
Yeah.
Not only this year, but in, a lot of like underrated things they did to sort of put it together to be in the playoff discussion we just had. The Panthers haven't done anything. They're just like throwing it against the wall. Well, we got the best quarterback, we think, so everything's fine.
Right.
And our left tackle is horrible, and Adam Thielen is our number one receiver. And what are we doing on defense? I don't know.
That they still have Brian Burns on their roster, and they still have a guy like J.C. Horn on their roster when they could have moved both of them. And I get that they're young and maybe foundational pieces or whatever, but when you've already traded DJ Moore and your first-round pick next year, you now have to do something drastic to specifically help the quarterback that you traded up to get. And
well, part of the problem is Steve Wilkes, who's now, of course, the Niners DC, did such a good job as the interim head coach after Matt really went 6-6. So they probably thought they were further along than they were.
Yeah. And they could have hired Steve Wilkes.
I can't blame Tepper for that because it happens. And,
Sure.
Teams make mistakes. I can blame him for just about everything else, though, which is kind of the problem.
100%. All right, well, Doug, this has been a terrific episode. I really appreciate you, as always. Everybody make sure to check out 4 Down Territory each and every week, and we will see you next.
Thanks, everyone.